Hello everyone, this is the third video of the video series. If you don't watch my previous video, I highly recommend you to watch the previous two video to understand this video. In our last video, we have successfully set up our CMP and successfully set up our cookie consent banner. And in this video, I will discuss about what actually happening after successfully set up this type of cookie consent banner. And I have already connected my Google Tag Assistant with my website, and this is the preview mode. And if I clear everything here and reload the page again, it will again appear the cookie consent banner here like this. And in this stage, if we check our Google Tag Manager here, you see that this is the consent. At the beginning, you see, if I switch to the consent tab from here, you see that the consent not configured here. And if we go few steps further, and we should see something like this. So I can see that this cookie consent platform CMP actually right now our case, this is the cookie bot. Cookie bot is setting some default consent for our website, and you see that we don't have any consent right now because we didn't give any consent or didn't allow anything, but we still see the cookie bot already set up the default consent, which was required thing for configuring cookie consent. And right now, if I go further, wherever we go, always we see that everywhere the current state is denied because we didn't give any consent here. And now if I allow everything, look here, we are in 11. Now if I allow everything and see what actually happening then, and our position was 11 here, and now you see that then the cookie bot actually again set up the cookie consent with updated cookie information, updated consent information from the visitor. And you see that this is the code I have shown in my previous video. Actually I shown in my first video as well as recap of the second video. You see this is the same thing. So if I come here, you will see this is the default consent. Actually we don't need to put this code manually. The cookie consent CMP is doing the work for us. So when the page is loading, the cookie consent setuping is setuping the default consent, and when we give consent, then cookie consent, the cookie CMP, cookie consent management platform, our cases cookie bot, is also updating our current state of cookie consent by inserting this code. So all of the cases we don't need to write any code by ourselves. Everything is doing by CMP cookie bot. And you see this is from here, you see this is everything is updated, and the cookie bot CMP also gives some event for doing further work. You see this is a consent update event after. And one thing you need to check here, once the cookie bot update the consent, then it will fire another data layer event named cookie consent update. This is the cookie consent update data layer, as well as it also fire few more event related to which type of consent we have given. Now if we go another page, for example internal page or anywhere, we won't see the cookie consent pop-up banner again. This is because there is another mechanism, but if we like to check the cookie consent banner again, we just need to inspect, right click, and we need to right click and inspect here. Then we can go to application. From the application, if we go to our cookies, from here, this is our website, and if we scroll down, we should see a cookie. The cookie name is cookie consent. This cookie is set up by CookieBot, or if you use any other CMP, that cases the name can be different, but they will also do same type of cookie in your browser. That means your visitor browser. And now if I clear the cookie, this way. I can clear by pressing the cross icon here. After selecting this, then again we will see the cookie consent banner. But in this tutorial I need to clear this cookie again and again for showing lot of things. That's why, make thing easy, I have installed a Chrome extension named Cookie Editor. By clicking here, we also can see that cookie. I'm just going, and this is the cookie. So if I clear this cookie and if I reload the page, the cookie consent banner again show here. This is the cookie consent banner, and I am again clearing everything. And now if I reload the page, this is kind of when visitor is first time visiting your website. Say that I am your visitor and first time I am visiting your website. And this cases, you see that this is the initialization. That means from here Google Tag Manager script is started, and now this is the end of the page loaded. From initialization to Windows loaded, in this long journey, inside the all other events and other thing, there is no consent available for first time loading. That means this is our first time visit of the website and it is showing the cookie consent. And luckily the cookie bot or CMP inserted the default consent for us. But right now, uh, before the window load, that means after window load there is no consent available, everything is denied, right? So our first time website loading, everything is denied, and our GTM, every event has already loaded. So you see that this is the staticom GTM and this is the ending of page loading. That means in this number 5 to number 11, everything actually happened here. Then this is the cookie consent banner is showing here. Now if I allow everything, then it will actually insert the cookie consent, and it will actually update our cookie consent here this way. And now if I check our cookie bot, it also insert a cookie consent cookie. Actually the CMP is doing this for saving the settings of user, so that, for example, if I go to another page in the internal page, you see there is no cookie consent. And now right now this is our second page after giving cookie consent. When again we are visiting another page or visiting this website, this stays. If we come here, you see that this was our first page and this was the position of GTM script. And if we check our second page, this is the consent initialization. At the beginning there is no consent and there is everything is granted, and then this is the from this stage actually Google Tag Manager is starting. And then right now the initialization of GTM, it has the current stage because the cookie consent CMP is collecting the information from the cookie. And right now this is not showing any pop-up for every page because in this stage actually this CMP already saved the user provided consent and it is taking the information from the cookie. And if I like to show how things is internally working, I am just going to my slide. Actually, this way the CMP is working. When page is loading, the CMP, our cases cookie bot, is set upping a default consent for us. Then it is checking whether the previously provided cookie information, that means whether the previously provided user consent is available and saved in visitor browser. Then it will take this information and update, collect the check cookie, then collect the consent information, then it will update the consent this way. It will follow the red line. But if you check and cookie information is not available in the visitor browser, that means if you look here the consent info not exists, that cases it will show a pop-up banner. and then it will collect the user consent. Then it will go this blue path and it will update the consent, and it also save the user provided consent so that every time he don't need to take consent. This slide, actually this step, you see that actually all of the cookie consent CMP or other cookie consent banner, they usually save the information. That means when first time you will give some consent for any website, it will just save the given consent so that every time it doesn't need to show the pop-up banner for every page. Actually, it will save your provided consent in a visitor browser, and next time page load it will collect from here. Then you see the next page. If I show a simplified version of this slide, I am going to next page. This is the first time visit, and if you see that the first time what actually happening, the page loading is starting here. Then cookie bot set up a default consent for us, and then it will check whether the cookie consent related information available in user browser. When first time it could not find any information in customer browser. That's why it will actually show this is the cookie consent pop-up, and then when visitor will give the consent, it will update the consent this way. And finally, this is the update consent GTM event. Once it update consent, it also show a data layer event. And this cases, it will also do another work. It will save the user provided consent information in customer or visitor browser or visitor cookies. And then this is the next page load. If I go to the next slide, see what actually happening here. So when the next page load, it also set default consent and then check cookie or customer cookie or local storage. Actually, most of the CMP use cookie and some use local storage to save information in customer browser. And then this will find the previously saved cookie or cookie information. That means it will save what consent has given first when visitor visited the page, and it will collect that information and instantly it will update the consent, and it will go to show the Google Tag Manager. Then GTM will come here and update. And if I again go back here, you see that the first time, this is the first visit. Again, I like to make things very clear so that because it is very important to understand the next video. So I am again going back to my website and I am just clearing everything here, as well as I am clearing the cookie this way. And now if I visit the website, it is something like I am first time visiting this website. Right now I don't have any consent. This way, and right now I am in the first page in here. So if I going back to my slide, the page load default consent setup, this is the default consent, this is state, and then it will check the cookie whether the user provided consent is available, and the consent information not exist for first time because we have cleared the consent. And for first time, of course, there will not have any consent. Then it will actually show this kind of pop-up. This is the pop-up here, and then you see that this is the position of the GTM. This stage actually GTM already loaded. This is the GTM initialization, and this is the window load. In this stage everything has been loaded of GTM script. So we are in this stage, and we right now we are here. So it is showing this pop-up. Now actually if we open our console. Just if I opening the inspector, and we are going to application, and from here you see there is no cookie name, cookie consent. Now if I expand it and look here carefully, if I allow it, and you see that it has instantly inserted a cookie. The cookie name is cookie consent, and this actually saving the user provided information. If I expand this thing, or if you check here, it is saving the necessary true, performance is true, statistic true, marketing true, and other thing true. If I see the thing, I'm just clicking it here and bringing that back. You see that the preferences allow, statistic allow, marketing allow, and it also set up that cookie here, and this is the cookie. And if we clearly see here, this is the preferences true, this is the statistic true, this is the marketing true, as well as this is the, actually it is saving this information. It is not that much readable, but if you carefully look here, you will see the exact same setting it is saving. And you know that cookie is a little piece of information saved in customer browser, and perfectly it will not actually removed. When we go one page to another, every page in same website, it will share this information. So this is our first page, and this case is actually the GTM initialization don't have any consent, everything is denied. But if I go back to our slide, this is the slide, and we have shown here the cookie or local storage, the users save user consent on browser, as well as it the cookie bot also give a event name update consent. If I go to our Google Tag Manager, this is the consent update. Actually I am meaning this by typing this. Then what happened for next page? If I go to next page, that cases it will not show cookie consent pop up, because it will first check the visitor browser whether the cookie information is available related to given consent. So if I reload the page, allow everything, and going to the next page, for example, if I go to my shop page, that cases what actually happening. This is my first page, and this is second page. These cases you see that it also at the beginning it will set up the default consent like before, and instantly it will update this consent information, because right now it is collecting the consent information provided by customer from the cookie. That's why it is not showing pop-up here. Actually first time it is checking whether this cookie is available. This is available, then it is taking this information to updating consent. And if this cookie consent is not available, that cases only it is showing the pop-up banner, because it is happening after, right after the consent default, then consent granted, updating the consent. That case is actually, you see that this is starting of our Google GTM script. So these cases everything is granted. That's mean this state GTM is actually getting the current state of granted consent, and everything is loading, and every pages actually the cookie bot also give this kind of data layer event consent update, cookie consent update, but these cases everything is granted. Look here. Now if we go back to our slide again, so this is the first time loading, and this is the next page. This is the cookie what I have shown, and for next page it is collecting this cookie, and this cases is also updating consent. And this position GTM is actually here, but the previous position GTM is here. So this state GTM is not getting updated consent, and this state actually GTM is getting this type of updated consent at the beginning. So this is the thing fine actually working. Now if I show the coding, actually coding level how thing is working, and this is the code. And if I come here, this is our ZTM script when our website is first time loading. In this stage, actually, this is actually setting the default consent, and then this is the checking whether the consent information is available in customer browser or local stores. When this information is not available, that cases here it is showing the cookie consent banner, and after showing and it is collecting the consent information. Look here carefully, and this is a stage where it is collecting the customer consent by pop-up and updating the consent, as well as this is the location where it is set up in cookie in customer browser, so that next time page visit he can collect the consent from here, not showing a pop-up banner here. So second time when it is page is loading, it is updating, it is actually providing the default consent, then it is checking whether the consent information available in customer browser, and it's check and it is finding that the consent already available in customer browser. Then it is updating the consent instantly before our Google Tag Manager code. So this is the thing internally working. Hope this, it is little bit confusing, but if you try it in yourself and correlate with my slide with your work, I hope it will be very clear. And I believe that it is very important to understand how thing is internally working. So hope you will practice this thing and you will get a clear understanding about how cookie consent pop-up actually internally working, and how it is updating the consent for the first time page load and for the next time page load. So thank you very much. In the next video of this series, I will discuss about what actually happening after giving this thing. We can say that actually right now we have set up the thing for our Google Tag Manager. It is kind of like something like data layer. We are getting this information in our data layer, and next step we need to configure our tag based on this provided current state of consent. So right now you think that we have just implemented our data layer consent in our data layer, and next step we need to control our tag and triggers using this consent information. Thank you very much.